Hello, my dear students. Today I am going to start Coordination Compounds 2 for BSc 6th semester students. This is the first chapter in paper 1 of 6th semester. In this chapter, mainly we are going to discuss valence bond theory, crystal field theory, high spin and low spin complex, magnetic properties of a coordination complex, and formation of colored compound, and finally stability of coordination compounds. Dear students, my suggestion to all of you is, before going to learn this chapter, in the previous semester we studied coordination compounds 1. There we understood some of the basics of coordination chemistry, that is formation of coordination compounds and meaning of ligand, types of ligands and types of coordination complexes, nomenclature of a coordination complexes, oxidation state of a central metal atom, EAN rule. These are the basic concepts we studied in the previous semester. And before attending this class, it is better if you go through those basics. So in my YouTube channel, all those videos are available. If you go to the channel and if you go to the playlist, there coordination compounds 1, more than 8 to 10 videos are there in that chapter. Before come to the class, so or before this video, you please go to all those videos. Then this chapter you can easily understand this chapter, because this chapter coordination compounds 2, it is the continuation of the coordination compounds 1. Here we are not going to discuss basics. Here we are going to discuss some of the theories of coordination compounds and some of the properties of coordination compounds we are going to discuss in this chapter. So now let us see some basics. I would like to recollect some basics. When we come to coordination compound, so it has mainly three important things. Two important things. One is central metal ion. Here cobalt is a central metal ion, and ligand. Here chloride and ammonia is a ligand, and here so this chloride ion is a counter ion, and the moiety which is present inside the square bracket, it is called as coordination sphere. And this is the charge of a complex, and the species which is present outside the coordination sphere, it is called as ionization sphere. And the number of coordination bond which is present around the central metal ion is called as coordination number. So these are the some of the basic things you must know before going to study this chapter. In this chapter, we are going to understand the bond formation, the coordination bond formation through various theories. There are more than 5 to 6 theories through which we are going to understand the formation of bond. So in this chapter, we are going to discuss only two important theory. One is valence bond theory and crystal field theory. So now let us start valence bond theory. This valence bond theory is proposed by Linus Pauling. He introduced this concept in 1931 to explain the covalent character which is present in the molecule. And this theory mainly consider the concept of hybridization in order to explain the formation of coordination bond. The first postulate says that the central metal ion, which it contains suitable number of atomic orbital, so like in sp(d) orbitals, and these orbitals undergo hybridization, and they are going to provide a space for electron which is coming from the ligand. A coordination bond, the coordination bond formation between a central metal ion and ligand is a species. It's going to donate a pair of electron to the central metal atom, and the metal ion is one, it is going to accept a pair of electron from the ligand and it form a bond. It is called as coordination bond. So according to this theory, the central metal atom generally represented as M. So the empty orbital which is present in the central metal atom undergo hybridization, and these hybrid orbital available for ligand to occupy and to form coordination bond. This is the first postulates of this valence bond theory. And second postulates, you can see the chromium. So these are the vacant orbitals which is present in the chromium. These vacant orbital, the 6 vacant orbital undergo hybridization, and these are the hybrid orbitals of chromium, and to these orbitals the electron from the ligands are occupied like this. Here in the box diagram, the electron which is indicated in the red color, and these are electron which is comes from the ligand, and these are the electrons of chromium which is present in the valence shell. Second important postulate is, and these hybrid orbital accept lone pair electron from the ligand to form a coordination bond, and these ligand occupy in a space which is around the metal to form a proper geometry, to give a proper geometry to the complex. And during bond formation, there are two types of a d orbital. One is n-1d orbital and nd orbital. It's very simple. If you write the electronic configuration of d block elements, so usually if you take 3d series, first 3d comes 3d, so 4s, 4p, usually it is an empty orbital. After 4d, next 4d also come. Here there are 3d orbitals. One is 3d and 4d. So here there are two kinds of d orbital. One is 3d and 4d. Here the 3d is called as inner orbital, and 4d which is present outside, that's why it is called as outer orbital. And if you consider this is n orbital which is present at the valence shell, and so if consider 4d is n and 3d is written as n minus 1, that is 4 minus 1. So n minus 1d, usually in general n minus 1d is called as inner orbital and n is called as outer orbital. During the bond formation, if the ligand occupies n minus 1d orbital, it is called as inner orbital complex. Suppose if they are involved, if they are occupied, so nd orbitals, nd orbital, outer d orbital, this is called as outer orbital complex. The next important postulate is a substance contain unpaired electron. You look at here, unpaired electron exhibit paramagnetism. Dear students, you understood the mechanism of magnetism, how a substance are going to exhibit magnetism, and the presence of unpaired electron is an essential condition for to exhibit, to show magnetic behavior. So this theory says that if a substance contain unpaired electron, they are going to exhibit paramagnetic character, and it doesn't have any unpaired electron, it is diamagnetic in nature. And the next postulate is, so here there are two kinds of ligands. One is strong ligand and weak ligand. You just observe here. So strong ligand and weak ligand. The word strong and weak we used in such a way that, you let us take this ligand, suppose cyanide. This is a strong ligand. During the bond formation, the ligand so force the unpaired electrons to pair up. So in chromium, suppose there are 3 unpaired electrons are present in chromium. If strong ligand like cyanide, while forming a bond occupying the empty orbitals, so during what happened, it forced these unpaired electrons to pair up. That is, the electron which is present in this box in third orbital comes here. It forced the unpaired electrons to pair up. So this nature is, that's why it is called as strong ligand. And some ligands like iodine, usually halogens, what happen, they do not force the unpaired electrons to pair up. So in the next theory we are going to understand so why they are going to force and why they are not going to force the unpaired electrons to pair up. But the postulate is the strong ligand is a ligand during bond formation it forces the unpaired electron which is present in the central metal ion to pair up. But the weak ligand is one, it does not force the unpaired electrons to pair up. That's why it is called as weak ligands. So once again, dear students, the valence bond theory is very simple. According to this theory, during a bond formation, coordination bond formation between central metal ion and ligand, the empty orbital of metal ion undergo hybridization and to form hybrid orbital. And to this hybrid orbital, the electrons of ligand occupy and to form a suitable geometry. During the bond formation, if n minus 1d orbitals involved, it is called as inner orbital. If it is nd orbital, it is called as outer orbital complex. And if they contain unpaired electron, it is paramagnetic in nature. And there are two types of ligand, strong ligand and weak ligand. So these are the important postulates of valence bond theory. So now let us apply this valence bond theory to the coordination complexes. Dear students, before going to apply the postulates of valence bond theory to various coordination complex, you must know electronic configuration of 3D series. You must able to write the box diagram. You must able to write the presence of unpaired electron. This is a must. And after this theory, we are going to draw the conclusion that whether the complex is inner orbital or outer orbital, whether the complex is paramagnetic or diamagnetic, the geometry of the complex. So these are the things and the type of hybridization which is happening with the molecule. These are the important structural features, magnetic properties, geometry, type of hybridization and spin status, whether it is high spin or low spin. So these are the important structural features we are going to draw after the application of this valence bond theory to octahedral complex, tetrahedral complex and square planar complexes. So once again, dear students, before going to apply, you must know the electronic configuration. You must able to identify the oxidation state of a central metal ion. Otherwise, this theory, it's very difficult to understand this theory. That's why I request all the students, you please go through the basics before attending this class.